Welcome back. Time to run the hurry up around a busy NFL Sunday. Dano, Jacksonville beat Houston, improved to 8-3. You buying stocks in them Jags?
Been quietly the best team in the NFL. Two reasons. Their head coach, he's got an unbelievable feel for the game, kind of haymaker punches after the other team scores. Their quarterback is stepping into that, hey, I'm a difference maker stratosphere. His legs, big completions. Christian Kirk's the ideal slot guy. Big balls down the field to Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley at the line of scrimmage. Their defense and the unique pass rush off their defense coordinator, Mike Caldwell. That's quietly, because we don't talk about them, best team in the NFL.
The crazy thing to me, Noop, is when you look at it, 5-1 against teams above 500.
Yeah. They can go.
They have won 8 straight on the road. Longest streak in the NFL.
Well, what they're doing is they're winning the difficult games. And people are going to look at that San Francisco drumming and think to themselves, this isn't the team that they've shown to be over the last few weeks. Trevor Lawrence is playing at extremely high level. They can rush the passer. And now offensively, everyone is fitting into their role. We know that Calvin Ridley is the number one, but you can see the level of comfort that Trevor Lawrence has with not only Christian Kirk, but also Evan Ingram. And now ATN, explosiveness out of the backfield. This is going to be a very difficult team to beat down the stretch.
Is this a sneaky, most dangerous team in the AFC?
Yeah, I don't think there's a question. And look, you have to have a closer to finish games as a pass rusher. They got a guy named Josh Allen.
The other Josh Allen.
That other Josh Allen.
Oh, by the way, because you got the TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, this dude ain't far behind him. I don't know what the numbers are, but Himbo will, I'm sure, tell me later. But he's right up there with him, and he's a closer, and that's what you have to have.
And be honest, they're only a sneaky team because they're Jacksonville.
100%.
Right. If it was a different logo on their helmet, we would be talking about them more and in a different light.
And they're deep. They're deep. I'm telling you, they can get on the field and with multiple tight ends, ETN, Tank Bigsby, Zay Jones is really good for them. So, we're talking about a football team that is very deep. And this is the thing that matters when it comes to Doug Peterson. I talked about this. One, ball coming out of the quarterback's hands and getting into empty. I mean, this team loves getting to empty, and RC, you know this, they'll take their back and they'll put him out there, and Trevor Lawrence knows if it's man or zone, and the ball comes out of his hands quickly, and then they'll go, if 2 separate occasions yesterday, Houston scores. Very first play, they come back with a shot. Jacksonville does. Hit a huge chunk. You grab momentum back. Later in the game, Houston scores. Very first play, they come back with a shot. Grab the momentum back. That matters when it comes to your head coach having a great feel
Also,
for the
too,
game.
though, that's a killer. Right?
Totally.
You hit me with a haymaker, I'm not going to go defensive. I'm coming right back with the same sort of energy.
Right.
And I think that's huge for this team.
They went on the road, and there's no team that has 40 more plus yard, big chunk plays than the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's how they get it done. Talk about some ugly football. How about the Giants? They hang on. Beat the Patriots 10-7. Who was the biggest winner out of this thing?
The biggest winner, let me tell you who it was. It was the entire country, because the homeboy over here, another wasted draft pick, 63% field goal made, and we're going to play for the tie, Bill Belichick? Really? Okay. And he trots out there. Boom. There it goes. We all won because we never had to watch this game in overtime. Right here. That's what he did. Right there. Another great draft pick by Belichick and company. But it saved us all from having to watch that thing in overtime.
We spent the week who's going to start. Mac Jones got pulled basically after a couple of Zappy throws a pick.
Brian, can I just say this? Bill Belichick, please stop. Just name your dang starter. It doesn't matter. They both stink. Whether it's Zappy, P-Shooter Jones, we don't care. They stink. Just go ahead and save the drama. We care about your team. Your team stinks.
And I will say this. They do stink. The separation of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady has provided us with so much, right? We've learned so much about Tom Brady now that he got to step away from the Patriot way and open up about his mindset. And now you start to see that so much for those 2 decades was based off of his mindset, based off of his work ethic, his ability to be coachable. And so now when you look at this team, you see the indecisiveness of Bill Belichick when you don't have that guy. You see him trying to pull at straws to figure out ways to get these ingredients that he has selected himself to make a good pot of gumbo. And he can't do that. And so now it's going to have to be the question, it feels like Bill Belichick earned the right to walk away.
Yeah.
He should truly be thinking about walking away from the Patriots.
Yeah, two things.
Okay.
One, Mac Jones is broken. Everyone knows my feelings on Mac Jones.
Yep.
He's broken. You should sit him. This year is a complete, he's broken down. Two, you can say whatever about me that you want. If you watch the end of that game, they get down into field goal range right around the 30-yard line with like a minute to go.
Settle.
And they completely play for a game-tying field goal.
Yep.
They have 2 wins. So, again, say whatever you want. I'm implying whatever you think I'm implying. To get down and 2-win team and not try to go win that game,
You're right.
that's
But then, who on that team gets to go to Bill Belichick, go to Bill O'Brien, and say, trust me? You don't trust anybody. Nobody gets to walk up to
try to go win the game?
Of course.
Yeah, I think you try to go win the game, but you're gun shy, right? You're scared because you know that you can't. You're scared they're going to throw it to the other team. And the thing is, it actually don't matter because you ain't good anyway.
Right, you got 2 wins. So it's like, that's my thing is, I understand your point, Darcy, but you have, whether you win or, like, if you lose, it's just another loss.
Hey.
You do all that work to try to go win the game, and when you watch it live, you're going, wait, why aren't they trying to throw the ball?
Right.
They totally said, we're going to try to tie the game with a minute to go.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I mean, this team plays like they're exhausted. And the Patriot way, that's it. It exhausts these kids.
That's true.
And Tom Brady was the only reason you won anyway. All right, I'm just telling you the difference.
Woo-hoo!
Tom Brady was
My boy
an
Rex on
absolute
fire!
difference.
Wow.
I said from jump, they would never win again.
Wow.
I said they would never win again when that
I
guy
was
trotted
here when
down
you
to
said that.
Tampa.
Yeah.
All right, when it came out. All right, because I know how draining that is to those kids. And that is what you're facing right now. You pick all the players, you do all this. Bill Belichick, greatest in the history, I will never dispute that, okay? I had my ass kicked by him a million times. But if you think for a minute that it wasn't about Tom Brady, you're absolutely crazy. The adjustments that Philly made, they were getting their butts kicked. We can say what we want. They were getting their butts kicked in that first half. They were. I mean, they had 70 yards of offense or whatever.
Right.
Okay? But the adjustments they made, they knew exactly what coverage they were going to be in. Why did the ball continue to go the same place? They kept running the same coverage. And so, to me, that's coaching as well. I always say this, that Jalen Hurts is a hired killer.
Yeah.
His demeanor, everything about him, he's a hired killer. So is Nick Sirianni, the coach. Yeah. And I'm telling you, at the biggest moments, they're at their best. And why? They've dialed you in. They've got you. They know what you're in. And unless you make the adjustments, the appropriate adjustments, they're going to carve you up. And they do it over and over and over.
And so here's why football's people, not plays. It's understanding that we're going to try to stop A.J. Brown. So what do? We put A.J. Brown to the field. We allow Devontae Smith to be into the boundary at number 2. If he's at number 2, I'm expecting to get either the 3rd or 4th corner, or I'm expecting to get a linebacker. Because you're gonna shade coverage to number 11. So now I'm able to get the ball to Devontae Smith. Okay, you're going to double cover A.J. Brown. I have a Heisman Trophy winner. I have a guy that I can trust. And I love when you always talk about the layered throw.
Yeah.
The layered throw to Devontae Smith that he lets go so early, that's right behind the underneath coverage and in front of the deep coverage, right? He's able to make that throw because
when he throws it, it's like, here comes it.
Right, because they've done it so many times. And I think that was what we saw from this team. It was sort of the closeness, it was sort of the understanding, the chemistry that they've built offensively, as opposed to what you're doing defensively for Buffalo, trying to replace so many people. You think that's not an easier drive with Tre'Davious White? You think it's not an easier drive with Matt Milano, with a healthy Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde? Right? You haven't done this as many times as the Philadelphia Eagles had, and it showed in that moment.
You know, you were talking about Nick Sirianni, and so much we see the personality, but it's interesting that you talk about the coaching, because if you look at what the Eagles have done against, as you talk about the Chiefs, they're getting their butts kicked for a half, and all of a sudden the second half, totally different team.
Situational football-wise, they're as good as anybody in the
Here's the
league.
thing, though. How much, though, does they're getting their butt kicks? How many times do we have to say that before we start to work?
Yeah, because blocked field goal, missed field goal, and then a 60-yard
a drop.
No, but
and
that's
also,
what
too,
I'm
though,
saying.
I think a drop by MVS.
Right.
Like, how many times, Rex, do we get to say they're getting their butt kicks before we start to say, okay, there's a little worry
What is he saying about
it?
his squad? What is Nick Sirianni feeling about his squad at this point?
No, I mean, he feels great because they find ways to win, and they have that championship medal That's what they do. They prove it time and time again. They've been 10-1, by the way, 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
That's
hard.
Oh my God. And that tells you got a hell of a football coach and a heck of a quarterback. All right, you have to. But I look at it this way: they're not getting any knockouts. So when you judge teams, you want to knock teams out. All right, it's like a boxer that all he does is he wins by decision. They keep winning by decision. And I'm wondering if there's other teams that have closed the gap and they feel like, hey, you know what? We got that knockout.
Dan, Mahomes and the Chiefs, they beat the Raiders. What did you see from their offense that was encouraging?
Rashee Rice and how to use him. Just keep him on the move. If you do that, the drops really aren't an issue. So just earlier in the game, there's a little shallow cross. Later in the game, it's going to be the same type of thought process. Get him on the move. He's a big physical guy. And when his athleticism's like the forefront, he doesn't have to stop his feet. The drops aren't there. He's strong enough to run away from guys. And I also like the fact that he's big enough to maybe fill a little bit of a Travis Kelce role. Kelce's on the outside, Rashee Rice is on the inside. Well, now when he's on the inside, one, he's big enough to chip to help those tackles and protection. And two, then Travis becomes a primary pass catcher. So often Travis has been used to help some of the protection issues, and that's minimized his opportunity. So if Rice is able, I'm not going to do that 20 times a game, but 2 or 3 times a game to allow Kelce to be a kind of primary pass catcher. But I think the big thing is, and I remember saying this about Gronk when he went to Tampa Bay, because he had been older, was just get him on the move, and the size and speed become the forefront. I think that's the same case with Rashee Rice when it comes to his drops.
All right, let's take a look at big picture here, and I want you to take a look at something here. When we talk about the wins, the Ravens now, they improved to an AFC West 9-3. Entering their bye week.
Okay.
ESPN Analytics gives the Ravens a 23% chance to earn the 1 seed in the AFC. That's the second highest, just behind the Chiefs. We're at 42%. The losses by Sunday, when you look at the Bills, the Texans, and the Browns, have made that wild card race. You can see there really tight. And it begs the question, is the Ravens, is that team the best one you think in the AFC?
See, I think the Chiefs.
I know you love the defense.
I do.
Best defense they've had in a long time.
Well, the best defense they've had per play.
You're dressed like a Ravens.
I am, and I go back, like this team gives up how good are they on defense? They give up 4.2 yards per play. Oof. That's the best since the 2006 Raven defense. And
who was leading that defense?
I have no idea, Ray Lewis. But then, and if you're going to take the entire NFL, you have to go back to 2009.
Wow.
Team that is the New York Jets. I don't know who was running that defense. It's amazing how that crap happens, but I'm an average-ass coach. But anyway, this team's amazing. But I'm still going to take the
Every week finds a way.
Yeah.
And it's true because I know I'm the damn best. But anyway, and I'm the best at evaluating quarterbacks. But anyway, I'm going to say this. Pea Shooter Jones is great. But anyway, my point is this: I'm going to take Kansas City until somebody beats them. I got to.
And I think and that's what happens, right? We go off of history. History matters to us, right? You deposit things into our emotional bank account, and you have a little leeway. We've seen the Kansas City Chiefs in the biggest moments come up the best. We've seen them win games when they need Patrick Mahomes to make a play. We've watched that defense shut down Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship. And so it's definitely hard to go away from them because of what we know. But I said this at the beginning of the season. Baltimore was my AFC pick to represent them in the Super Bowl because I said if everything comes together, if offensively they could be what the sum of their parts are, I thought they could be the best team because I knew they played defense well under defense coordinator Mike McDonald. I didn't know they'd be this good. And so now it's who do we get as a quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens? How does Todd Monken move Lamar Jackson off of the spot? How do you continue to implement Zay Flowers into this offense to make him an explosive piece? And what does Isaiah Likely give you at the tight end position that Mark Andrews gave Lamar Jackson from the sense of comfort? I think that this is the team I could see playing in the AFC Championship, but it is what Lamar Jackson do we get? Is it regular season Lamar Jackson, or is it a playoff Lamar Jackson that understands the gravity of the moment and shows up?
I think Kansas City's the best team in the AFC because they're the least flawed team in the AFC. I mean, their knock is they drop the ball, or they don't separate as much. They have Patrick Mahomes, and they have a great defense. I will say this. 6 weeks ago, I felt the kryptonite of Kansas City this year was going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it's the Baltimore Ravens, the more I think about it, and this is why. The Kansas City Chiefs' coverage is so good.
Yes.
You know, their back seven is so good. To try and beat them, you got to run the football in a diverse way. That's Baltimore. If we think about Baltimore, we've talked about their pass game so much. Think about the diversity of their ball carriers now. Gus Edwards, Hill, we've got Keaton Mitchell, Lamar Jackson,
Zay Flowers carries the ball.
I mean, there's 5 guys that they could run the ball with. I think that's the kryptonite to go beat KC.
Jacksonville as well, huh?
The other kryptonite is, man, you got to get them out of Arrowhead at some point.
Right. There you go.